Welcome to the Fence and Deck Mastery Podcast, where we discuss cutting-edge techniques, industry trends, and business insights to take your fence or deck company to the next level and dominate your competition. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Fence and Deck Mastery Podcast. I'm your host, Alex Danner, and I'm also the founder of Fence and Deck Marketers, which is a digital marketing agency that works exclusively with fencing and decking companies. If you've listened to the podcast before, you kind of know the layout, but I talk a lot about digital marketing and different ways that digital marketing can help fencing and decking businesses. But I also do industry expert interviews. And today, that's exactly what I'm doing with my friend Alex Miranda, who is the founder of Virtrify. And that is a staffing agency that specializes in hiring Latin American individuals for U.S. companies. And there's really tons of options out there. And if you're looking for help from Latin America or other areas around the world, and that's what I'm just trying to do is bring some awareness to that, to let fence and deck business owners know that there are options out there, and no better person to talk with about that than Alex Miranda. So, Alex, what's going on, man? How you doing?
What's up, Alex? Thank you so much for this opportunity to talk to your fence and deck clientele here and all the listeners. And yeah, just like you said, we find vetted bilingual professionals from Latin America to work for US companies virtually, right? I don't physically, we don't give them visas to come on over here. They work virtually. So they stay in their house in, let's say Venezuela or Colombia, and then you got your company here. But it's blowing up. Like every industry is doing this. Every business is doing this. So thank you for the opportunity to speak to the fence and deck guys about this.
Yeah, no problem. It's great to have you on here. And like you said, it is blowing up, and there's amazing people out there that can really contribute a lot to businesses, US based and virtually, ever since the COVID years, when that kind of got shut down and made it a much easier transition, I guess, once everyone was used to that. But yeah, when I talk to fence and deck contractors, I've definitely heard it before, but not many. Very few do that. Maybe somebody's hiring answering service. That's a big one. But even still, a lot of them are, receptionists in-house, but not too many that are helping out with, those tasks that fence and deck owners don't want to do. And there's plenty of them out there. There's always something that people could delegate. But yeah, if you wouldn't mind, just kind of tell me, a little bit about your background, a little bit more about that. That'd be great.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I went to Cornell University to study business and organizational behavior. And so when I started my own business, which happened to be a branding agency back in 2005, I did the normal thing of hiring physical labor here in my office. Actually, this background, it was full of people. It wasn't just posters. Sales, account management, project management, graphic designers, web developers, they were all here in my branding agency. And then I discovered that I could get people, that I didn't have to hire people in Miami and pay them $25 an hour, $30 an hour. And I could avoid all the IRS and the W-2s and the Social Security and all that if I found someone international. So in 2008, I hired my first international employee, and it was $10 an hour compared to 25. And that just meant more profit for me because it's the same graphic design. It was the same getting done. And so I'm like, oh my God. And I felt so terrible, but bro, everyone had to go, Alex. Like everyone. I run a different business than fence and deck guys, right? Fence and deck guys, you need physical labors, right? That's it. You got project managers, you got the people installing, all that. But I'm all in my business, I'm service-based, right? So I don't go install anything anywhere. So I went 100% virtual. And that, my clients started seeing this. They were like, hey, I know that person is in Venezuela. How are you doing that? And it wasn't that they were accusing me of anything. They were actually curious. How are you doing that? Because I know, Alex, you're not paying them full price, like US prices. And that's when the light bulb went off. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can help my clients build virtual teams, right? I did their branding, right? I did their logo, I did their stationery, I helped them start. But now it's like, hey, now that you're going to grow this business and hire employees, have you considered that these people can be in another country? And that's when I started the staffing agency side of my business. And that's what Virtrify is we help businesses now sort of build their virtual team to help support their growth.
Gotcha. Okay. I mean, about the business, I mean, how long have you guys been in business? Employees, curious on like some of I guess the people that you've actually placed with other businesses. Can you just kind of elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, we started in 2016. I've been virtual staffing since 2008, but the light bulb didn't go off till 2016 that I wanted to get into staffing. And so the way it works, Alex, is that in Venezuela, we are actually an employment agency. So in South America, our website says, find a job with a US company, right? Create your profile. That's what my website says down there. Because over there, we need to build up our like pool, right? Of database of people who want to work remotely, which by the way, it's like the generation down there that's graduating college, right? With marketing degrees. By the way, they have the same universities we do. They have the same education we do. There's nothing different. They're the same. They're in our time zone. They're very much culturally aligned with us. In fact, little do people know, a lot of families send their kids to the US to school and then they go back. So now you've got
Mhm.
US educated people down there that want to work. They don't want to be in traffic. They want to work remotely. They want to be able to go to Argentina for a month and still work, right? It's not a vacation. They don't want to be tied down because everyone's doing it over there. So over there, we're an employment agency. You come, you create a profile, check off all the things that your experience, a little video of you. And then over here in the US, we're a consulting company. So we go into companies and say, all those tasks there, we can have someone do that in South America for 10 bucks an hour, 11 bucks an hour. So, and we over here, we're the guides. We consult them. We make it easy for them to create that transition because it's not easy, guys. You can't just like go off and hire someone from Latin America. It just doesn't work automatically out the box. You need a company like ours to bridge, create the SOPs, and manage that they're working those 20 or 40 hours. So that's kind of how the whole structure works, Alex.
Yeah, that's a good point there, especially if somebody, fence or deck owner that's very hesitant to do something like this. I would imagine the first thing that they would bring up is, they're concerned about keeping track, making sure they're working the right hours, and on top of things. I mean, of course, you can monitor that internally, but the hours, if you're not used to being virtual and tracking everything through, Slack or whatever you're using to communicate. I know there's a lot of great time tracking tools out there too, which
Yeah,
you probably use.
we do that for them. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So I know that's always a big worry there, but it is amazing. We've had some experience working with in Latin America ourselves, and I was just blown away by the the level of experience and specifically what we wanted.
And they know English. You're
Speaking
really
perfect
blown
English.
away, but you're like, oh my gosh, that's like an accent of someone here.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I don't want to speak for the people that you're finding, but I mean, I've found many that just sound American too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely out there, I guess. But depending on the roles and kind of what you're doing, it's just kind of what I guess your comfortability is, with that. But yeah, that's kind of what I want, really want to talk with you about is just to kind of get everyone to the fence and deck business owners out there thinking about their day-to-day operations and what they're doing and what they hate doing, what they could maybe use help with. Is it something that's easy to pass on to somebody else? If you already have existing SOPs, that's makes it that much easier. But taking the time to think about that and processing it all and being able to pass that to someone that's more than credible, is a huge time saver, huge money saver. And just something that I really want, everyone to at least think about and kind of see how it could possibly help them. But
Yeah, Alex, something I wanted, as you were saying, something came
mm,
up, and it's like, look, this is about building a hybrid model, right? This isn't about replacing your existing team. This is about saying you have your current team, right? But your current team, a lot of them are doing admin work that someone else could be doing for $11 an hour, right? So let's just say I'm gonna say the name Tammy, right? Tammy runs the office in the fence and deck, right? She's wearing 6 hats. She's the account manager, the project manager, the email, person. She's you got these 6 things that Tammy does, but Tammy can't do it because then a client is calling her, but Tammy gets paid 25, 30 an hour, 40 an hour, whatever it is. It's like you got to be thinking, okay, how do we take stuff from Tammy that she ain't even getting to, right? She ain't even getting to task number 6 because tasks 1 through 3 are more important, right? Her job hats 1 through 3 are more important than 4, 5, and 6. How do we take stuff from Tammy so that Tammy is more effective in the office? Tammy is like more present. She's like physically there in the business. She's not in the cubicle behind, hidden, doing admin work. So now Tammy's present. She can be in conference calls. She can be present in the day-to-day operations of the actual physical business. And what we're doing is building a whole back office to take care of not just existing tasks, Alex, but also tasks that you're not doing. You should be doing or you want to be doing, but you can't get to them, like asking for reviews from clients or just other things that you can't do that now you can do.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, especially the mind of a entrepreneur, it's very easy to get scrambled and kind of jumping. I mean, you have to jump around to things constantly. And there's always things in the back of your head. I know I can think of a bunch of them at pretty much all times that I just wish were done a little bit better or just tweaking, I guess, or just had help with, whatever the case may be. And, this could be definitely a potential fill for that. But yeah, I know that you hire for all kinds of roles. We've been talking about, different ones that you've filled in the past. So I want to give an idea of like talking about different roles that could kind of, light that light bulb in people's heads and being like, oh yeah, I do that, help them think about potential ways it could help them by defining some roles and departments. So I know you're doing, sales, helping with sales, everything related to sales, basically customer service, operations, administrative. So I want to kind of dive into those a little bit. Just starting with the sales side. I mean, what do you typically see? Are you helping contractors, different types of U.S. businesses on the sales side?
Yeah, we're working with a contractor right now who on the sales side, they have a sales team, right? So in every contractor business, you got to have the salesperson who's going out and right doing the measurements, right, creating the estimate. Okay. But that person, if you're flooding that person with new leads that maybe haven't been vetted, that some of these turn out to be a waste of time for the actual estimator or the salesperson. So what we're doing is we're in contractor businesses, we're installing these sort of appointment setters. They're the first line to receive that lead in. They're calling the lead within 15 minutes, right, of that coming in, because sometimes, companies like yours, if you're doing your job, Alex, right, of bringing that lead to them, we're as marketers, we're expecting them to pick up that call. I mean, bro, we just busted our butt to bring those leads in. So like call them within 3 minutes, 15 minutes. And so we're filling that gap in right there. It's like, boom, someone to immediately pick up that call and start that relationship with the person and bring them along that customer journey and then qualifying them to then set it up for the estimator to go out and bring that job to the company. So that's on the sales side. And this person can do, gosh, they can review reporting, they can review, they're probably not going to be involved in the proposal and the quoting preparation because that's what the estimators do, right? But there could be little parts of that. If you think of what an estimator does to go out and estimate a job, he's going to have to come back and do some admin work, right? The estimator is going to have to come back and do admin work to get that quote in. Well, what if that estimator, Alex, was now on to the next estimation, because all the estimator had to do was get the numbers, put it into a computer system, take a picture, and now the same salesperson that we just hired, they're preparing the quote, because it's admin work. The preparation of the quote is admin work. I know we want the salesperson to do it all because that's what we're paying them for. But what if that salesperson then just got in the car and went to the next job and went to the next quote? Now we're relieving our salespeople, making them happier. They can be out doing what they only can do. And anything that's admin related can be done by someone in Latin America. And that's just the sales side, Alex. Because you can move in from there. Now you can move into the actual operations, because once the quote gets approved, right? Now the fun starts happening. You got to get the shop drawing, the architect or engineer. You got to start getting into the city permits. You got to start the ordering process. And what we're doing there for some of the for a contractor is that we're creating this person that's going to go along the entire customer journey with them, and they're really serving as this customer service person, so that operations isn't bogged down by the customer service side of the business, but that operations can continue to flow and flow, and that you've got this first line of defense, that if a customer is trying to figure out, hey, when is my fence project going to start? Or, hey, when is this going to end? Or, they have issues that they're not calling the project manager. They're not calling people that are actually operating, but they have a first line of defense, this customer service feel good person along that journey. Those are the two major ones, I would say, Alex. Other than that, there could contractors get as bold as to say that their CAD drawer, in fence drawing, in fence and deck, you do CAD, right? AutoCAD, like you're building. They're graduating AutoCAD people in Venezuela, and you can get them for $16 an hour. Here, you got to pay 40, 50. Over there, you get $16 an hour. So you can even bring them into the actual operations of the building out and the construction and installation of these fence or decks, right? Project management, account management, shop drawing, those logistics, right? Who's calling on the workers? Who's, right? Those people, making sure that they're there on time. Like, these are tasks that normally project managers, physical people work on, but you can get people in Venezuela to assist on those things. Same thing with administration, bookkeeping. How many people owe money still? So now we've got accounts receivable, accounts payable, things like this that normally, God bless Tammy, would handle in the office, but Tammy has 16 things she's doing too. So now we start to take some of that administrative stuff that's happening in the office. So those are kind of the three major things, Al.
Yeah. And given your example, Tammy, I'm sure that she could think of some things that she not only would like help with, but could very easily teach somebody else to help them out with too.
Yep.
There's really no shortage of that. I mean, aside from something that requires to be there in person, like you're saying, the sales, project management, all that stuff. We're not talking that obviously, but everything behind the scenes, absolutely. And you touched on, like, on the sales side. I know there's some, I would say most fencing or decking business owners that we speak with have some kind of CRM, but there's definitely some that don't. So if you're having problems with, tracking leads and all of that stuff too, there's absolutely somebody out there that can help you set that up. And more than likely, Alex, and correct me if I'm wrong, probably somebody for that specific type of CRM you want too. Finding somebody that can, whatever they're using, Job Nimbus, Service Titan, Builder Trend, there's all kinds of them out there. That's something that you could probably find someone that has experience in that, or just something similar and, are familiar with software like that and can pick it up pretty quickly. So
look, a great worker, a good A player, Alex, is someone that can get in there, learn something, and within a week, they're almost as proficient as you are.
Yeah.
It's like they're making these softwares so easy for us to use. You just have to have an employee who wants to go in there and, eat it up. Whereas Tammy, God bless Tammy, she's old school and she might not like that stuff. So Tammy still wants to do things the way Tammy's done things for 15 years. And so you get these new technologies, right, coming in, but Tammy doesn't really want to get into that. It's going to disrupt her. She's got to do a million things. So what do? You bring in young blood into the business, innovators, people who want to learn and bring in new technology, and they embrace that a lot more, and more than even the owners, right? More than the owners, more than some of the workers that have been there for years and years. This is I'm giving you real life examples here, Alex, and I know you like chuckle because it's true too. We're dealing in the construction and contractor world. We're dealing with usually dad, mom started the business 20, 30 years ago. Kids are now growing up. They're starting to get involved in the business. So there's this old guard, new guard, but dad still is not
Yeah.
ready to leave the business, right? So he's still like sort of project managing, micromanaging. This is what we're dealing with, but we can come in and guide and be that sort of innovation space for even the old guard to embrace this.
Yeah. Yeah. And we see that all the time. I mean, especially, when it comes to marketing, because there's a lot of fence and deck companies out there that have done little to no marketing and kind of just aren't really sure how it works, or maybe they got burned by another marketing agency and it just creates a lot of problems and they're not really sure if they want to kind of move forward with something like that because they don't really understand it. So it's kind of the same thing here. I think it's probably a little bit less because it's easier to understand. You hire someone, help me out with this, and it's a little bit more straightforward than the marketing side. But I agree there are a lot of successful fence and deck business owners out there that have been around for a long time, and I do see they're trying to bring maybe they want to pass the company on to their kids, and their kids are just wizards with everything related to technology, and they're kind of telling them, hey, you need a new website, things like that. So
that's exactly what's up. You
yeah,
know exactly where we're
yeah, it happens pretty often. And I can't blame them if you're getting all these leads off of referrals and stuff. I completely understand. It just depends on what your goal is, and that's what I always tell people. If you're happy with the way things are, then you don't really need to change it. But there are other ways to really ramp up your business and grow it a lot faster too. So
Alex, I think it's worth saying this, and this is we're getting now into a deeper level here. If someone plans on selling their fence and deck business, right? Because that's a thing too, right? You've had this business for 20 years, you've built a name in your city, and now you can sell your business. Well, when you sell your business, what are they looking at? They're looking at that last final number there, which is your EBITDA, and they're going to multiply it by 4, 5, 6. I don't know what the multiple is for fence and deck
yeah, I'm not
contractors.
sure. I'm not sure either, to be honest. But
But
yeah,
whatever it is, let's just say you profit at the end of the year, you profit $300,000. Cool. And then they're going to multiply it by 10. And that's what someone's going to give you $3 million for your business. Here you go. Thank you so much. Thank you for your service. Well, what if that 300,000 was actually 400,000? That profit was 400. Now you could sell your business for 4 million, and 3 million and 4 million are two very different numbers. So what I like to do or explain to high level entrepreneurs, people who are looking at their business as a asset that they're going to sell one day, is how do we lower your costs, but still put the same output?
yep,
There's parts of your business where you can say, you know what, that $40 an hour employee, we don't need that anymore. That $50 an hour guy, hey, or that contractor we were paying a whole bunch of money to, we can now bring that in-house and lower. And so now you're more profitable. Your costs are going lower. Your human resources are going lower. Hopefully, if you do your job well, Alex, they're increasing in their sales. so more leads are coming in and they're getting more business, they're able to sell their business for more. So if any of your guys are like right on the cusp of like they're going to sell within the next 2 years, we absolutely need to talk, because I can help their business be more profitable in the end so that they can sell it for more.
Yeah. Yep. That's a good point. So I guess so far we've kind of gone through, I just want to recap a little bit the different departments. So we've talked about sales, customer service. So on the customer service side, we touched on that a little bit, but any kind of customer support, if you need somebody to handle people, like you're saying, asking when the project's going to be done, or, if there's any complaints, anything like that, if they're mad because the yard was ripped up a little bit or materials were left, things like that. Having
And
somebody handle that.
in the customer service side, and I learned this from a contractor. He told me, Alex, I would love to have a person that proactively called the clients
Yeah.
instead of
Yeah.
reacting to phone calls. You're calling the client saying, "Hey, Mr. Smith, so just so you know, and the parts came in, so we've got everything ready. We're just waiting on the city right now. But rest assured, we're still on time for the project. Thank you so much. Do you have any questions?" Do you see how that's very different than waiting for Mr. Smith to call in?
Yeah. And that's kind of what I was touching on the very beginning. We all have those things in our head that we wish we were doing better. There's no shortage of them. I mean, it's never going to be perfect. Your business is never going to be perfect. So I know we're always thinking of things, but then you're counting your resources and you're like, okay, but they're already booked up. They're already or they're already overloaded. Like, what am I going to do? So that's the cool part about this too. If you can find someone that fits well with your team, you really like them, they're hard workers, you can save a little bit of money, but also take care of those things you wish you were doing within the business too.
And they're
So
bilingual. I don't know if a lot of your
yeah, that's a
fancy
good point.
deck guys, they may be in cities or states where there is an increasing Hispanic population,
Yeah, yeah.
which some of your customers might be Spanish
Oh,
speaking.
absolutely.
It's
Yeah,
true.
absolutely. Yeah, that's a good point. And one specific thing that I really want to touch on because it's kind of hits home with the marketing side of it is getting Google reviews and all kinds of reviews, really. This is probably the number one thing that I struggle with clients because it's just a pain, to be honest. It's rarely as simple as just sending an email. If you really want to, dominate on Google, you're going to have to look the best on Google, not just having a really nice website, but reviews for your Google listing impact rankings tremendously. So that part there, most don't want to have to come across as, I'm really just being a nuisance. That's quickly you can feel like that if you're constantly bombarding them with emails and calls, follow-ups and things like that. And I guess to a certain extent you could cross that line, but for the most part, if you're talking to them, they agree to do it in the beginning, in the beginning of the call, the beginning of the sales process, reaching back out, being friendly about it, usually it's not that big of a deal. So having someone that, this would not be their only job, obviously, but someone that can consistently get reviews, reach out, call them up, do whatever it takes to get those reviews. That's going to be a huge increase to your SEO side, which is going to be more money for you. And I would imagine, honestly, that alone would probably very quickly pay for itself. Having somebody
Yeah.
that could get, because I know the power of reviews. If you're getting a lot, you're showing up. If you're getting hundreds and maybe even 1,000, whereas your competitors are staying like 50 or lower, you're going to look as that clear cut person. It's just can't emphasize it enough. So would be a really good potential. I don't know if you've ever hired anybody that's done something similar or.
That's how my journey with the contractor industry started. Was a contractor telling me they kind of learned what I did, and they're like, you know what, I could use a reviews person. That's literally that's how I started in the contractor world, because contractors know reviews are everything, right? Especially for referral based businesses. So the conversation with them started as this review person, but it quickly evolved because
Yeah.
once they started understanding, like, man, they could be involved with operations, with
Yeah.
sales.
Start thinking of all kinds of other
Oh
jobs.
my gosh. And then it went haywire. So here's where we ended up. Is it started out with a review person. It ended up that this customer service person that we were just talking about that follows you along your journey as a client, they're closing the loop with the review. See, if they were the ones all along the way
Yeah, that's
answering
a good
your
point.
questions, why wouldn't they be the one to close the loop?
Yep.
And they call for the warranties too. So, because at the end of projects, there's fence warranties, but you got to call the manufacturer to get the warranty on that. This customer journey person takes care of everything. We'll even call and say, hey, I received the warranties from the manufacturers. I'm going to go ahead and email those and physically mail them out to you. This person is going to do a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Yep. That's a great point. That's funny that you had such a similar piece there, because I'm always talking about reviews. And yeah, I mean, I know whenever I brought someone on, maybe a more general role, I have people that are very specific roles, like it might be SEO or ads, websites, things like that. But I've also brought in, more generic roles and, operations people, that there's just so many things that I can pass on to them and they'll do a better job, because I don't have the time to do all these things. I need to find somebody that, in all honesty, likes doing it. And that's what's cool about it. A recruiting company like yours, you can find someone that, I think the quote is like, plays at what you hate or something like that. It's amazing that there's people that like doing what you hate. So,
It's awesome. And
yeah,
the culture in Latin America is very different than here. Over there is a very, very servant mindset. This like this love to just serve, right? And I don't mean that in a slavery way. I mean it in the true Jesus way, like
yeah,
serve. Um,
make the world a
and
better place and do things to make the world better.
and they love this side of the business. And what I've heard, this isn't, I don't physically hire employees, so I haven't had this experience in a long time, but companies that do physically hire employees, the entrepreneurs tell me they're lazy, it's hard to find good talent, they'll leave
Yeah,
you they'll leave you for $1 more. So you got all this time you spent with them, and then they leave you. They're trying to start 3 side
yep.
hustles, right? Because everybody wants a side hustle. But it's very different in Latin America. Remember, once I find them a job with a US company, they do not want to leave that job. They do not. They're not trying to get another job in their country. That ain't gonna happen. So your
Yeah.
competition for the job market just went down to practically none.
Yeah.
They're
And
gonna
that's,
serve you, and they're gonna want this job and to keep this job.
yeah. Yeah. And if you kind of look at the talent pool too, I mean, especially if you're in an area with just nobody around, or not many people, like a low population city, something like that. I mean, think about the people that could potentially that you could hire. You're going to be likely finding somebody that, and this is not all cases, but a lot of the times you'll find somebody that is a pretty good fit. And then you kind of think to yourself, like, who else is really out there? Like, it's much harder to find these kinds of people, I guess, sometimes. But the real issue is it's going to be limited compared to the whole world or all of, Latin America. Finding, that entire country versus just one of your cities, there's a lot more people to choose from. You can be more selective. So I've always liked that part of it. There's just a lot of options.
And we do that for them, because
Yeah.
in the typical world, you're doing that, or Tammy's doing that, right? Tammy's going on Indeed, posting up a job posting, right? So she's got an interview. We're doing all of that before. We're vetting them. We're taking their personality exams, cross-referencing them with your job description, right? We're actually creating the job descriptions. Some of these roles, Alex, they've never had them in these companies. So like, we're having to help them create the job description, the roles, the tasks, what they're doing Monday through Friday.
Hmm.
So we are helping that. It's not like, hey, here's Carlos. Carlos, meet Bobby, have fun together. No, we need this to work. So we're in the middle there, making sure it works. And we're taking that load off of them, so they no longer have to be in recruiting. They should just be focused on the recruitment of physical labor.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, and that's a whole, I mean, we hear that. I wish we had a better solution for that too, because we hear that a lot, the physical labors. It depends, some say it's really tough to find really good people. Others have no problem whatsoever. But I would like to dive into that a little bit, the hiring process. So like, kind of giving people an idea of like what is involved with that. If you're like, okay, I need somebody for this role. Spoke with a recruiter, say you spoke with Alex. What do where do you go from here? Like, you
Yeah,
kind of elaborate on that a little bit.
we're creating a job description. Then we're taking that job description and sending it to the recruiting team in Venezuela. So now they're looking through the database and saying, okay, these 5 people qualify. We're emailing them, calling them, saying, hey, read this job description. Does it interest you? Could you see yourself working here? And they say yes or no, right? So let's say we find 3 people. Cool. We're going to send an email to the client with 3 candidates, 3 videos, and 3 resumes. So you'll be able to actually watch a video so you can see their English, you can see their personality, who they are. And so now you're like, okay, you know what? Let me interview, Carlos, and let me interview George. All right, cool. The next step is a video interview, the Zoom call. It's like you're going to ask your questions, the owner will ask, and they'll feel it with one of them. Say, okay, it's George. Cool. Then it moves from that point, it moves into now the onboarding and account management. So this onboarding process is that we create a video training on who this company is, what their services are. It's very likely that you're not going to have someone who's already been in the fence and deck industry in Venezuela. Could it happen? Yeah. Could they have worked for a contractor? Could be, but it's very likely that they're going to be brand new to fence and decks. Well, guess what? We're creating a training platform on the fence and deck industry, how it works, who the major players are. We're doing that on our end, right? So when they come in, they've come in already with some training on fence and deck industry. Now we're also creating a training program on, let's say it's reviews. We talked about reviews or following them on the whole customer journey. This customer service person we're talking about, we're creating the preliminary SOPs, the preliminary, like, okay, Mondays, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, like what you're doing. We're helping shape that in the onboarding process. And once that person's been onboarded fully, now the account manager takes over, and the account manager is making sure the person is working their 20 or working their 40, because you can either hire someone part-time or full-time, and they're working their 20 or 40. Those hours are being reported to you. Those tasks that they do every day, they're checking in on WhatsApp to tell you, hey, good morning, good morning, Tammy, I'm into work, right? And then at the end of the day at 5 p.m., hey, here's everything I did today. So it's very, we had to do this, Alex, because admittedly, in 2016, when I started this company, I thought companies had it all together and that I could just make the introduction and they would figure it out. But within a month or 2 or 3, they were firing these individuals. And it wasn't because the individual was bad. It's because it's tough to manage those people. To do everything that I just said is tough on a business owner, especially if the business owner is out on the streets doing the actual service. But what time do they have? No, that's why I had to install this sort of onboarding and account management and creation, because I needed this thing to be successful for them, not only for the entrepreneur's sake, but also for the employee in South America, for their sake. And of course, for my sake, because it means I get to keep a client.
Yeah. Yep, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think that was kind of, I mean, is there anything else you'd like to add? Those are what I really want to go over. I mean, I really want to talk about the different roles out there. I think you did a great job explaining and opening people's eyes to what they could get help with. Is there anything else you can think of, to add to that? Anything we might not have covered?
For entrepreneurs that are listening to this, you got to understand the strategic and the personal and financial benefits of this. Don't worry about the logistics. I'll take care of the logistics of how this is going to work. You need to focus on the fact that this is going to make you personally more flexible and scalable. You're going to be more competitive. We didn't even talk about this, Alex. If you lower your office admin costs, then your bids for the jobs can go lower too, and you can still be as profitable.
Yeah.
So compared to a company who has a full staff, physical labor, a big office with a bunch of desks and a bunch of admin, versus you who have a hybrid model, your bids don't have to be as high because your costs aren't as high.
Yeah,
This
that's a
is
good point.
huge.
Yeah.
And a business owner, like you were saying earlier, they can focus on core activities, physical core activities, while the admin stuff gets done. This is, for an entrepreneur, this helps them sleep better at night. They have better work-life balance because they're not doing, a lot of entrepreneurs are doing the admin work themselves, or the wife is doing the admin work. So what happens? Tension at home. Oh yeah, this is a real thing. I'm not speaking anything new to husband and wife partnerships. You bring the work home. Why? When the admin work doesn't get done, it creates tension, right? It's true. And what's going to happen is when you bring this in, Tammy is going to be happier. She's actually going to be more satisfied, and she's going to want to stay longer. Why? Because she doesn't have 6 hats anymore. She's not taking work home anymore. She's actually a happier employee. And of course, it's the costs, the revenue growth here. And what we talked about earlier, you can sell your company for more when your costs are lower.
Yeah, that's a good point. Alex, I would say it's fair to say that you have some experience with sales. You do. Obviously, you go into a lot of detail there. Especially explaining, the real
I'm passionate about
benefits.
this, man.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
passionate about this.
I don't think there's anybody that'll listen to this that wouldn't feel that energy and passion through their phone or their headphones, whatever the case may be. But yeah, I mean that was pretty much all I had for you. I mean, I really do appreciate you coming on here and explaining this. I think fencing and decking, because we deal with so many, I talk to so many every day. I know that most aren't utilizing this, so I really wanted to just, at least plant the seed to see, what you think. If it could help your business, that's great. That's fantastic. Just ask you to kind of keep an open mind of what the possibilities, I guess.
Yeah.
So
My
that's kind
website
of
is virtrify.com.
Virtrify.com.
I'm sure maybe you'll put a link to it, all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, we'll put that
Like,
in there
you
too.
can go there and click on I think it's get started, and then just fill out the form, and one of my people will get back to you. It won't be me. It'll be a virtual employee that I have in Latin America because I am my own customer.
I like that. Well, yeah, I hope everyone got a ton of value from this. I'm sure you did. Going forward with the Fence and Deck Mastery podcast, we're going to be doing weekly podcasts from either stuff with me or talking about industry experts, people like Alex that can come in here and really help us out and share some of their knowledge. But for now, that's pretty much all I have. If you do have any questions about marketing, for fencing or decking businesses, feel free to reach out to us. Our website's deckfencemarketers.com. We're on every social media channel. We do the webinars every month. If you're curious about that, you can reach out to. But if depending on how you like to digest content, we have pretty much every type at this point. So that's it for today. I hope everyone enjoyed themselves. Thank you, Alex, for coming on here, and have a great rest of the week.
Thank you, Alex. God bless you, your business, and your clients' businesses.
All right, take care. Thanks, Alex.
Thank you.